live from Boston. What a great sports city it will be this week. Wendy, all the storylines before the series started involved some combination of Steph Curry and Boston's dynamic duo. But I want you to give me what the real story of the finals has been thus far.
Yeah, Matt, the thing that's happened during this series is that it's the Celtics offense against the Warriors defense that's been where the rubber has met the road. The Warriors are doing a terrific job of being physical with the Celtics, forcing them into turnovers, and really exhausting their offensive strategies. Boston's failed to crack 100 points in each of the last 2 games. Boston has repeatedly attacked Steph Curry, going at him after switches on defense. He has held his own. And while Andrew Wiggins' scoring and major dunk there was a big feel and storyline in Game 5, Wiggins' defense over these last few games and his rebounding, he's had his 2 best rebounding games of his career the last 2 games, has been part of that defensive effort. When the Celtics have prepared their game plan and looked at what they can do better starting in tomorrow's Game 6 to save themselves in this series, it hasn't been worrying about Steph Curry on offense. It's been trying to figure out how to solve Steph Curry and his teammates at the other end of the floor.
Yeah, and you talk about Wiggins. When he was in Minnesota, he was the #1 option because he was the #1 pick. He loves his role in Golden State. He's got scores around him. Let him do what he does well, and we saw that the other night on Monday night. Let's talk about the Celtics now. Like their city, they're tough. They've relied on that. What can we expect from them with their backs against the wall?
Yeah, so their calling card has been their resiliency throughout the entire season. Games 4 and 5 were the first back-to-back losses that they've had with their starting unit in 5 months almost. They're 3-0 so far this postseason when facing elimination. They've done it on the road and won at home. And so this is kind of just par for the course for them. They're used to this position. They've retained their confidence in this spot before. Some of the best games of Jason Tatum's season and frankly his career have happened this year when facing his, when going with his back up to the wall. And so while Boston is pushed to the limit here and has no margin for error, there is a sense of comfort around them that not only have they been here before in this postseason, but they've excelled in it. And so I think you will see them take that attitude into tomorrow night.
Which, by the way, if they go 4-0 with their backs against the wall, that means they're NBA champions. And what a story that would be. By the way, Windhorst, great job. Par for the course using golf lingo with the U.S. Open right down the road. I'd ask you who your favorite was.
You've been around as long as I have, Matt.
Yeah, I'd ask you about Brooks Koepka's putting this week, but we don't have time for that. Brian Windhorst, thank you.
Let's dig a little bit deeper now with NBA analyst Amari Stoudemire joining us here on the show again. Amari, the Warriors defense has been really good. We'll dive deeper into that in a second, but they have suffocated the Celtics' primary ball handlers in the half court in particular, specifically Jason Tatum. So if you're Boston, what can you do to alleviate the pressure that Golden State is putting on him?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult because Andrew Wiggins is doing an amazing job on Jason Tatum. As we see, Andrew Wiggins is a two-way basketball player, right? He's great offensively and also defensively. And I think for Jason Tatum, he has to go ahead and just attack him right away. And when the double team comes, you have to be aware of when it comes, right? Dribble with your head up, make the simple play. But it's going to be difficult because the Warriors are doing an amazing job of guarding Jason Tatum.
Love that stat at the bottom of your screen. Jason Tatum, 37% shooting when defended by Andrew Wiggins specifically. And look at the fourth quarter numbers. They've really held him in check. So, again, The Warriors' offense, so good. We get it. But similar to their championship runs over the past several years, that defense has been excellent. And that is a huge reason why they are right here where they are, 1 game away from another title, a 1 win away. What stands out to you, Amari, on what they've been able to do consistently on defense?
Well, let's keep in mind, Draymond Green is a 7-time all-defensive player. Klay Thompson is a two-way basketball player on the defensive end and offensive end. Andrew Wiggins, now the new addition to the Golden State Warriors, is also holding on to that same characteristic of being able to play on both ends of the basketball court. Steph Curry took a major leap over the past few years of being able to guard and put on the strength to guard these guys. So when you have a complete team of defensive perimeter guys who can switch and guard anyone, as we see here, the double team, these guys are very smart and very aware of the circumstances on the basketball court, and they're champions. They've been there, done that. They saw all the different lineups and matchups that they can possibly see, and they are taking advantage of the experience. These guys are locked in defensively, and they're very aware of what's happening on the offensive end for the opposing team for them to be able to take advantage of their defense against the opposing team.
Yeah, and again, you've seen it the last couple of games in particular when it really seemed like, I mean, down 2-1 that Boston was the better team in every aspect, it seems, but this Warriors team knows how to come back from adversity. And by the way, they've held the Celtics to below 100 points a couple of times in this series, so we'll see what happens. We got another day to talk about it as well. Thank you, Amari.
Absolutely, thank you.
Sports Center on the Road is presented by Rocket Mortgage.
We're going to drop the puck tonight. Stanley Cup final just one day away, though, from a potential fourth ring for Steph and the Warriors. Series shifts back to Boston. Golden State up 3-2 after winning at home Monday. The story in Game 5, Steph 0 3-pointers. Andrew Wiggins stepped up to lead the Warriors in both points and rebounds. What's going to give is Sports Center on the Road, presented by Rocket Mortgage. That is where we find our Kendra Andrews, the Warriors reporter. She joined us now from Boston. Boston, a very busy sports city over the next couple of days. And the Warriors again on their verge of the fourth title in 8 years. And Warriors just 3-3 this postseason with a chance to clinch. So, Kendra, what's Golden State saying about the challenge of winning tomorrow night in front of that hostile Boston crowd?
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors are cautiously optimistic. As you said, they've been here, one win away from a championship many times before, and a lot of those times they've gotten the job done, but others they haven't. And this postseason alone, they failed to close out each of their series with the first opportunity that they got. So Steve Kerr said, look, no one is celebrating yet. Klay Thompson said, it's great to be here, but we haven't accomplished anything. The mission has stayed the same. But he did say, I have never been more excited to get back to Boston for a basketball game. But if the Warriors do want to close this series out tonight, they're going to need a better showing from Stephen Curry. As you mentioned, he didn't hit a single three-pointer last game for the first time in over 200 games. Steve Kerr said, look, Steph was due for a game like this because of just how he's been carrying that team throughout the playoffs. And Draymond Green said, this might be a good thing for us. He went 0 of 9 from 3. He's going to be livid. And that is just what we need, Draymond said. And you guys, history backs up Draymond's claims. Stephen Curry averages 4.5 three-pointers on 46% shooting in games after not hitting a three-pointer the one before.
Yeah, and Kendra, that's a great point. If you were the Golden State Warriors and you got the win against Boston at home and Steph Curry didn't make 1 3, you've got to be feeling pretty good about yourself on the road tomorrow night. Kendra Andrews with the Golden State Warriors. Kendra, thank you.
Let's keep it going now with NBA analyst JJ Redick, who joins us now live. And JJ, put yourself in the shoes of Steve Kerr. You know the importance of closing out this very talented Celtics team when you have them on the rope. So if they want to get that done, what's the most important part of this game plan?
The most important part of the game plan has been making Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum play in a crowd. These are two ISO players, and the Warriors have done a really good job at the point of attack of being into the ball. When they do blow by, you see them playing in crowds over and over. The Warriors have been in great help positions. When they have had a mismatch, they're sending the defenders over early. Any Jason Tatum ISO on Steph Curry at the top of the key, that second defender is coming over early. So when he does blow by, he's always playing in a crowd, shooting in a crowd, passing out of a crowd. And a lot of this has led to those turnovers and that inefficiency that we've seen from both of these players from two-point range.
See, defense wins championships. We asked for the most important game plan point, and you say defense. Absolutely. That is the Warriors side. How about the Celtics, Matt?
Yes, as we dive into the Celtics struggles this series, let's go by the numbers as we do so. Warriors have scored 103 points off Celtics turnovers in this series, the most by any team through the first 5 games of a finals since the 1992 Bulls. Jason Tatum's turnover issues have been a problem throughout the postseason. Tatum's 95 turnovers in the playoffs are the most in a single postseason since turnovers were first tracked back in 1978. And Tatum also has been struggling late in games these finals. He is shooting 5 for 21 in the fourth quarter in this series, including 1 for 5 in Game 5. They cannot struggle and get the win to force a Game 7 if he plays like that, as we welcome in our Celtics reporter, Tim Bontemps. And Tim, Celtics back against the wall again, faced elimination for the 4th time this postseason. They've done well in the other instances. So what's the team saying about how their previous experiences are preparing them for tomorrow night?
Well, Matt, they are confident they can get the job done again because, as you mentioned, there's already been 3 times in these playoffs that the Boston Celtics have faced elimination. They've won all 3 times, and they don't see any reason why they can't do it again in Game 6. As as we saw earlier in the playoffs, they went to Milwaukee, won a Game 6 on the road against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. Jason Tatum had 46 points in that game. They then came home and won Game 7 against the Bucks, and then they went on the road and won a Game 7 in Miami against the Heat. And certainly if the Celtics are going to win a championship now, Matt, as we know, they're going to have to win a Game 7 in San Francisco on Sunday. But first they have to win this game here tomorrow in Boston in Game 6 against the Warriors. And to do that, as both J.J. Redick laid out earlier and you just laid out in that rundown, the Celtics have to take care of the ball. We've said it time and time again over the past several weeks. The Celtics are 14-2 when they have 15 or fewer turnovers. They are 0-7 in these playoffs when they have 16 or more. All three of the losses they've had in this series, they've turned the ball over more than 16 times. As JJ laid out earlier, a lot of that has been Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum trying to do a little too much, getting too far into the paint. The spacing isn't right. They try to force things, and all of a sudden, the Warriors are going flying the other way, getting Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole wide open shots, and that just starts to spiral in a bad way for the Celtics. So in Game 6 tomorrow night, the Celtics need to take care of the ball. They need to play with the focus and energy they had in Game 3 and get back on track after disappointing performances in both Game 4 here in Boston and Game 5 in San Francisco if they want to get this series back to San Francisco for a Game 7 on Sunday night.
Yeah, Tim, thanks for pointing that out, because I think if you're watching the game tomorrow night, the one number you got to hang on to, 15. That's the turnovers. If they remain under 15, they've got a good chance. And with 2 or more wins, Celtics would become the 3rd team in NBA history to go a perfect 5-0 when faced in elimination. That joins the 95 Rockets and the 88 Showtime Lakers. Tim, thank you.
JJ, it's so interesting because we have praised Jason Tatum throughout this postseason, and rightfully so because he's been excellent. But this turnover issue is legitimate. When you look at this series, and with Jason in particular, why has he been so turnover prone?
Well, I mentioned the crowd that the Golden State Warriors are presenting, but a lot of his turnovers come when he plays off of 1 foot instead of playing off of a jump stop and using his size. And we have a few examples of that. If we can roll the tape here, right here, he is able to beat his original man. But again, playing off 1 foot there, can't make the accurate pass to Marcus Smart in the corner. Watch Andrew Wiggins here in a perfect help position, tries to go off 1 foot, commits the offensive foul. All he has to do is make the simple kick out pass to Marcus Smart, and that shifts the defense. And again, he's able to beat his primary defender in Jordan Poole, jumps off of 1 foot. Kevon Looney has great verticality. It's an errant pass, eventually leads to a turnover. They go the other way. Gary Payton gets fouled and makes free throws. We've seen this over and over. Let's get Jason Tatum on the move a little bit. Here's this backside action with Al Horford. Andrew Wiggins shoots the gap. Tatum makes the right read, hits an open 3. If the Celtics can figure out ways to get both these guys on the move instead of playing iso ball against a set defense, I think you'll see that turnover number go down.
JJ, it's almost like ad-libbing, right? And he's not fully aware of where the man is, because it just seems like a sloppy last-second decision that's causing the turnover.
Well, it seems very simple, Sage. When you get past your guy, he's taking one extra dribble, or he's picking his dribble up too early and jumping off of 1 foot at like 15 feet, 12 feet over and over. So he's losing all the advantage that he has in his size and his strength by doing that and playing off of 1 foot.
He has 26 more turnovers this postseason than the next closest player, which happens to be his teammate, Jaylen Brown. So if they can curb that tomorrow night, we could be going 7 back to San Francisco. JJ Redick, we appreciate it.
Yep.
SportsCenter on the Road is presented by Rocket Mortgage.